Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Andrew, and I'm so excited today that we have an amazing sponsor today, which is Pocket Prep. Now, Pocket Prep was one of the first tools that actually helped me break into a strong, good studying habit that made my studying more manageable and gave me clear starting points on where to start with my series and my goals of breaking into cyber. The thing I loved most about that app was it gives you practical questions that feel like the real exam, feedback that actually helps you improve, and a tool that keeps you motivated. I am so excited that Pocket Prep is launching a free 30-day study challenge that gives you one small, achievable task every day to keep building your studying habits even stronger and to learn more techniques. Now, what I love about this challenge is that it's not going to take up your whole entire life or change your whole life, but it's going to ask you for a quick, easy, single question of the day, maybe 5 minutes, and that's it. By the end, you're really going to understand what studying techniques work for you. Now, I wouldn't be anything other than greedy if I didn't share this QR code with you, because if you upgrade and go to the VIP, you're not only going to get access to study groups, a supportive community, and even a free month of Pocket Prep Premium. I'm also so excited to say use this promo code GingerHacker30 to save $10 on making that hop to VIP. And let me tell you, Pocket Prep helped me break into cyber, and I'm sure it can for you as well, to land and lock in that passing score to get that next certification. So what are you waiting for? Scan that QR code and let's start studying. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Andrew, and so excited to bring you guys episode 3 into 2026 of our Breaking into Cyber series. So excited to introduce to the channel a good friend, colleague of mine, locally from my DC 480 group, Julian. And Julian is a staff security engineer. And Julian, I'm going to pass it to you for a short introduction.
Andrew, thanks for having me. Yeah, I am Julian Galluzzi. I have been in IT for about 15 years now. Current position about 7. I'm a staff security engineer for Achieve. We're in the finance lending space, and I've been doing cyber for about 5 years, and I'm recently starting to pivot into application security.
Nice, dude. Well, Julian, so glad to finally pull you on here. And we'll go ahead and get started with our first question we ask everyone as they get here is cybersecurity. So back in kindergarten, first grade, maybe even first, through the years of education, we have our career days, we have our talking about what you want to be when we grow up, and we give the answer of doctors, lawyers, football players, philanthropists, astronauts, but obviously we got into tech, into cyber. Can you kind of explain maybe what made you kind of get to the path and kind of where you are today?
Yeah, my mom worked for DHL, and there was those days where take your kid to work day, and she would bring me in, and she was doing, I think, production support, which at that time was in a big noisy room, raised flooring, printers that are 20, 30 feet long, tapes, reel-to-reels. And I was fascinated by kind of what she showed me. There was a guy in there that showed me a few games on the computer too. There was a lot of computer building in the house. My dad really encouraged that. We went to computer shoppers and bought stuff, and I learned about games, the internet. And for security, the early thing was I wanted to work for the NSA. There was a agency undergraduate training program. I thought that would be cool to learn, but also help with college. That was the first spark, aside from just seeing what my mom did and those folks and wanting to work in a computer room or a knock,
Man, dude, I actually didn't know that. That's wicked cool, dude.
Yeah.
Well, obviously you've done something successful because here we are both working in cybersecurity, man. So the path worked out. So kudos to mom and dad. I got to ask, did you get to build your own computer, I'm guessing, in the house, or what was your favorite computer or tower maybe you built? Or project even, we can call it if you want.
Yeah, I remember, I think there was a special website for, I think it was the Intel P2 chip. It's like MMX. There was this cool website you can go to. And I think putting that one together, maybe the water cooling one.
Oh yeah, the water cooling ones are so cool. I'm so nervous to do it because I'm like, I'm gonna do it and somehow flood my computer and destroy it. I have such paranoia of it.
Yeah, water cooling the GPU, but also I think I had a 6800 Ultra GeForce, and there was a block on the GPU, but also the processor and tried overclocking, kind of worked out. Didn't know too much about voltage and overclocking the RAM, but yeah, that's been a trend line.
Nice, dude. That's super cool. Well, I think the next question that I think that a lot of folks then kind of get into when it comes into our trajectories of like how we break into cyber. I think there's that chicken before the egg question that comes next, right? Which leads us into our next one is education, certifications, and experience. So I've talked many times on the channel of kind of where and how I rank the three, but out of curiosity, where do you rank those three and why?
I would say experience, it kind of reigns supreme.
Yeah.
The practical application of all that learning, between certs and education, a 4-year degree. I mean, people ask for that. They ask for certs. You may not need either, but they'll always ask, right? A 4-year degree shows you can commit something. You're learning a lot of different things at once. The certs are kind of flash in the pan. You want to do this one thing. I don't know how I'd rank those two. Yeah, maybe education, then certs.
Okay. Yeah, and you're not the only one that goes that same kind of like breakdown of how they sit. And it's just like you and I were talking before we started recording too. It's just like that education aspect it's important, but I think you and I can both agree that like journeys aren't always like, well, I had to get my 4-year degree and that's how I got into cybersecurity. Because you and I both know folks that don't have masters, have GEDs that have landed and they're sitting in excellent cybersecurity roles, and they're self-taught. I have a good friend of mine two good friends of mine that are great use cases where I have a buddy of mine that has a GED, self-taught himself Golang, Rust, and C++, and he works for one of the government contracting companies as like a back-end dev doing work because it's a very niche thing he taught himself. And he eventually went back to school, got his I think like associates, but like got his clearance, knocked out some certifications, and he's living pretty, clearing 6 figures, cush remote gig. And he was one of my good friends of mine too, that kind of directed me and kind of pushed me to get into cybersecurity, which I very much appreciate. Shout out Zerde. But yeah, I mean, like where do you think, and if you're willing to kind of share kind of your journey as well, because I know it's somewhat a little similar.
Yeah, I started a cyber cafe, 6 PCs, a lot of Magic, the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, collectible card games,
Nice.
Warhammer, all this stuff on the walls. I learned what a registry hive was and kind of how to lock down a computer. But the second IT related was I kind of got my undergrad or IT experience. I cut my teeth in managed services, MSPs, working many different companies, a lot of different environments. I got to touch network gear, server stuff, AV remediation, patching, kind of everything all at once in different environments. Folks who wanted to pay a lot, not a little, or not a lot, and from there, I moved to like the corporate world. Really, like I felt the MSP. I didn't feel like I belonged to anything. I was helping out all the other companies. I don't know, a white collar janitor is how I've described it.
And not to bash on MSPs, but I hear the burnout for MSPs. It can just be a lot too. It's like you're not just worrying about one organization. It's like you're in a pond with like 10 to 15 to 20, even plus more to the hundreds of like, it's almost like fish in a barrel. And it's just like, oh man, what are we going to get today? And it can, cause I have a few friends that still work at MSPs and like, they're so busy. And it's like, at the end of the day, they're like, my brain's fried.
I went from working at an MSP, my last MSP, and I went and worked at a bar. I slept in a Winnebago, man. Like I needed a break. I went, did something different for a while. My buddy owned a bar in College Station where I'd gone to school at A&M. I met him and we did like student bonfire and a bunch of other stuff together. And he was opening a blues and barbecue bar, and it was opening up, and I'm like, seeing what he's doing. It had been open for a bit. I'm like, okay, I need to get out of here. I'm gonna do something different for a while.
Yeah, man. Yeah, burnout's not for the faint of heart, man. Because it's like we were also just talking about this before we started recording tonight. Yeah, it's like the overload and like imposter syndrome and just kind of mental burnout and stuff. And like we've talked about it, and they actually had a really good talk, I know, at the last DC 4.0 meeting of just like that, like mental health awareness too, of like what we do in our jobs. Like we get it. Like we're not firefighters. We're not law enforcement. We're not in the military. They're running out in front of bullets and stuff. But a lot of the work we still do can still just be taxing in different ways. And it's just like, it's important for a lot of folks that I talk to too, of like finding those ways and means to like unplug, relax, and kind of ties into another good question I have for you is when you're not doing cybersecurity stuff and you're trying to unload or kind of get a way to refresh the brain, what are you liking to do for fun right now?
Right now, it's music and running, really, man.
Nice.
I've been in the trail running community locally for 7, 8 years, by way of group runs. Before that, I worked that on the side at races, doing timing and technology for them. So I also get to jump into races for free. Um,
That's so cool.
so I've been running a lot more past month or two. My sister jumping into a race or two as well, or not racing, but yeah, just getting out there, getting on the trails. Sometimes I'll do it before work, and then music. You know, there is a former coworker of mine at the company I work for now. He he plays drums, and so I play guitar, do vocals. We hung out a few months ago. I think he had a shoulder issue, so he couldn't drum for a while, and so we're gonna get back together hopefully soon enough and
Nice.
banging on that, playing a bunch, and come up with like a set list to maybe play at an event one day. Yeah,
Nice, dude. Heck yeah, man.
dad band stuff.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with dad bands, man. I have a few dad groups as well for like a D&D group,
Yeah.
gym group, all that fun stuff.
Mhm.
But no, that actually ties into some other next aspects of a good question I have for you too is when it came into navigating through the training pipeline kind of for what we do,
Mhm.
do you have any recommendations, I guess, for those that are trying to break into cyber right now? And like we've obviously seen obviously we're not really probably looking for jobs right now, but it's just like even like on the market too of like trying to break into your first role. I give the advice of like, look, like you can be a little picky, but don't be super picky
Mhm.
and literally just try to get your foot in the door. And then there's nothing wrong with building up internally from a help desk position or like a tier one position. But I can, what are your thoughts right now for like the job market and for folks really trying to break in and get that first role?
Yeah. I mean, personally, I've never been off the street hired for a cybersecurity role. The last two companies I've worked, I've pivoted internally. I started on the service desk at both, and we'll talk about that. But the first company where I kind of returned to IT from taking a hiatus was a cruise travel company, and at that point, I had cut my teeth doing MSP work, and so I kind of was a ringer of sorts for service desk stuff, kind of till the end of the little sysadmin work.
Yeah.
So hired on there, pivoted to a sysadmin role in about a year, and kind of cruised within that, managing various services. Then the last year, they're like, we need to do more security. So IT security administrator. I didn't know what I was getting into.
We never do.
You read it and like, oh, we're not ready for this. We're not ready for this. How am I going to do this? And why did I do that? I don't know. Of course it was. I mean, it was definitely money was involved for sure because
Yeah.
we work to do other things, right? But it's also interesting, problem solving, service delivery, going from delivering apps and apps to products or to services like vulnerability management. It's just all service, service delivery. And after I was let go from that company and really struggled. I could not interview well. I took a couple different interviews. Either I couldn't talk about myself, I couldn't relate stories about my achievements.
Mm-hmm.
I worked at Amazon pushing boxes, man, for a bit, and the only way I was able to or kind of restart my IT career was that same gentleman who hired me at the cruise company. He was working at a different company, my current one now, and it was that network. And like, because I was way overqualified for a service desk position,
Yeah.
but because I wouldn't get hired for that. I wasn't getting sysadmin offers, and so I'm like, okay, I'll start from the bottom again. About a year and a half, and I was in security because I stayed curious. I talked to people. I volunteered for things, and yeah, just got myself out there and visible.
I think it's so funny because I just gave a talk to on like LinkedIn and networking and like how to navigate the social media levels of building your own brand, right? Because I think so many people sometimes forget how much networking can really be in a true sense lifesaver. Because I myself, even when I was breaking in about 8 years ago, my luck was I had great mentors that pushed me into they landed me an interview. I had to still succeed and pass that interview with my SOC manager and Adam Pena and Ryan Murray, our state CISO here in Arizona, who I know you know.
Mhm.
And but I had to sell myself. But it was thanks to my network of good friends and mentors that were able to kind of help pivot me that, hey, they knew my work ethic, they knew I show up, I work hard, which I'm sure the same aspect of that same colleague that you worked with, like, oh man, dude, Julian's a kick-ass employee to have, and he's gonna work his butt off. And I know he's a strong, good worker. Yeah, you definitely got to come back.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I broke into cyber too, I took a pay cut. And that's one thing I explained to people too, is like, you're not going to always make millions on that first role or that kind of maybe stepping stone to get in. However, just as you mentioned yourself, kind of, is as you work and grow and progress yourself in your career, the harder you work, I feel, and the more you ask questions and you're active and you're attentive, you're a go-getter, you're the, hey, I can get that done, boss. It projects you into a role of like, hey, we can trust Andy because we know when we ask him to do something, he can get it done. Or, hey, he's always here. He always shows up. Let's give him a little bit more stuff to challenge him. So, I mean, but yeah, dude, unemployment is it's a scare, man. And it's hard to see. And I'm so glad you came back out of it. And kind of just like you mentioned, like, hey, look, I took a job to take a job because at the end of the day, we all have to pay our bills. And then you did your next piece of it by probably just networking and still having folks in the community know, like, hey, look, still here, still want to get back into the swing of things for cyber, and you're resilient, and that's fantastic, man. Because I think a lot of folks here in this channel and as well as within the community that you and I know, rejection is not a uncommon thing we see on the application doom scrolling of 100 applications out, 101 rejections back because one place said it twice. And no, man, I think that's fantastic though. And I think it ties into another aspect of it too, of like kind of that bettering yourself and like always that current, always learning. So what are some ways that you like to kind of try to level up and to kind of stay on top of the learning curve, what's developing and changing within the community, or just kind of just making yourself the best candidate for that next role?
Yeah, as far as like we'll see certifications, education, the last 10 years for me, it's mostly been on job training. Certs I hold right now are Security Plus, CYSA Plus, and I think I got like the basic Amazon associate, like all the services basically.
Yeah.
I'd gotten that one, and I think only that one was pushed by work. Like we want to get because we have support AWS. We want you to get this at least. And then
know your fundamentals kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And Security Plus and CYSA was actually was professional development, like setting goals with my leader, like
Nice.
let's keep this going, and continuing beyond that, it's mostly on the job problem solving. And working with different folks trying to solve, was it application security problems, operations issues, reduce risk with creative problem solving. That was a lot, but like on the job for the most part. And now it's going back to school,
Nice.
Yeah, going back to school because I never finished. I'm attending ACO Online, cybersecurity, which is mostly an IT degree, of course. Cybersecurity is foundationally IT.
It's so funny, I think, and we were talking a little bit ago, like when you're going to school out of high school and like the goals of it are like, I gotta get through school, I gotta get this finished. I hate school so much. And it's like exactly that. Some people will jump out, some people will say, yeah, you know what, no, it's not for me. But I think as you get further in your career and as soon as you land like that we'll call it the forever job, or like the place you stand to be at for 5-10 plus years. And then as you start to progress and kind of further your education and further your development inside the work office, you find that next role you want to get, or you see that next promotion, but then you see like, oh, degree required. You're like, okay, well, now I have a really strong goal, a really strong reason to said go back to school. Or like you mentioned as well, like just like for that continuous learning and just to finish it up. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm like the education certification experience, I kind of sit at the same level as you did for that experience. Always is like cream of the crop, number one. I kind of put the certification second, education last, because as I mentioned before, we know folks that dropped out and don't have any formal education. We also know folks that have no formal certifications, but if you know the job and you're good at what you do, it's that's the place to learn. And I've explained this to several different folks as well, where it's like, look, like, I get it. Like oh, well, how can I get experience if I'm not working on an enterprise environment? And that's where the concept of like, hey, building out a home lab, writing up like a GitHub repository of like maybe hack the box or try hack me rooms. That's where you can kind of wiggle in that, hey, look, I haven't used Splunk on an enterprise environment. However, I've done all the try hack me room boxes or like hack the box Splunk challenges that have required me to do tabling, create dashboards, write out rules, Java rules, Windows registry. And you can even showcase those either write-ups on Medium. You could do private videos. And as you're doing really well in an interview, at the end of that, say, hey, sir, I know once again, where I'm interviewing for this X position, I just want to direct you to this YouTube channel that I run. And I have my walkthroughs, my thought process, how I do my write-ups, what's my methodology of how I'm doing these investigations. And I was talking to one of my good friends today, he's a SOC manager over at Charles Schwab. And he's like, yeah, man, like the thing is like, and you and I know this because like we've been through interviews. It's like every interview almost seems like so run of the mill. Hey, tell me about yourself. Hey, explain a time you've been challenged. Hey, have you used Splunk before? Explain how you've used it. And he's like, Andy, he's like, it gets so repetitive. It's almost boring. And he's like, but if I had a candidate come to me and maybe not be the most secure or confident with his phrasing, but like was able to still do decent on the interview, but then say, hey, I would love to direct you toward this website or a web page I have that I've made that has a bunch of write-ups I've done. It has some video examples of write-ups I've done on X rooms, with I obviously know that Splunk is a tool you guys leverage here at X company. And I just want to direct you to that because I do some really cool walkthroughs in my mind, my thought process, my write-ups are on there as well. And just would like to direct you to that. That way it can just show you that maybe if there's something that you missed on this interview for the 30, 40 minutes you had, you can go see that at the end of this and just still see I'm the best candidate for this role. And he's like, Andy, if some candidate did that to me, I'd probably call them right back after I saw it. And if they did a really good job on it, I'd probably offer the job right now. Because if you think about it, when's the last time, and I'm sure you maybe either sat on or maybe heard of, and we've talked about resumes of like, but when has someone gone over like to that level to say, wow, this is why I'm the best candidate? I'd be like, yeah, this person can easily do the job. This is perfect.
Yeah, I've sat on both sides of that. More recently, or last 5-6 years, it's been on the hiring side, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that I'm that great of a interviewer, or, you know, like I need to improve on that too. I'm not sure what questions to ask. How do I suss out someone's aptitude and their attitude at the same time?
Yeah.
You know, if someone did do that as a tag to their interview, it would stand out definitely to me. I have not had that happen to me.
You've heard it here first, everybody. Make a web page, make videos, and the next interview you do, use that methodology and let us know if it worked. Because I'm 90% sure it would.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you talk about building a brand and really a portfolio like GitHub, you know, a project portfolio, what you put out there to demonstrate your experience, like lab work, like I've done Cyber Defenders, Try Hack Me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, posting that in a blog of mine or like in GitHub, you know, would be great to link off as well. Maybe this interview as well, I would throw in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's also getting in front of that hiring manager, which I would not know how to do in this day and age.
See, I think you mentioned it before, though. It's the networking piece of it. So it's like there's so many folks. Yeah, I mean, because it's like we have DC 4.0. Sorry, go ahead.
You reminded me of something I was going to say earlier, because it's talked about a lot, building your network. Do you have to maintain your network?
Oh, I like that. I try to. It's weird. You're not wrong on that. It's like when you plant a garden, it's like, well, now do I need to water it every day? It's like, you probably should. Because there's I would say within, because here's the thing too, I think you have a really strong point on this. Like once you grow your network so large, how do you maintain your network?
Yeah.
Because like there's the one-to-one, then one-to-many methodology, right? So it's like with teaching, we can have this one-on-one conversation and flourish our relationship, keep growing deeper and deeper into like what we like, don't like, things that work and don't work. And that's great. But then what about the other like 25, 30 people that we all see every month at DC 480, right? Are you saying that I should be having that same conversation with every single person every single day? And I would argue you don't have to. However, that's one thing I think when it comes into tech communities, when it comes into trying to stand out, still be present. So it's like comments, drop some stuff in like a Discord, a LinkedIn group, a Slack channel, like be present. Like I know we do the coffee stand-ups on Thursdays with DC 480 that every now and then I try to pop onto and I remember because I'm horrible at remembering about it. And but yeah, I think it's just like every now and then just being present, saying hi to everybody. But no, that's a good question.
And when you said that being present, in the Slack, I try and be present. Like it's also like volunteering within your own role. Like I try and comment on things, ask questions, and whichever channels I'm in. I've only given like one tech talk so far. I'm maybe going to work on another one because I like to be back. And so aside from helping out where I can, like building a Slack bot or DJing or, offering any besides doing a talk just yet. I do what I can, and then if it's just to maintain, like having conversations like this, seeing people on Slack 480 in person, I guess that's what I have to do. I mean, with my friends, it's like sending them reels on Instagram, right?
Yeah, sending all the memes and stuff and just keeping them going. Yeah. Oh man, Julian, I'm so glad I got to bring you onto the channel today, man. This was much overdue. And as a thank you for getting to burn some of your time tonight, I'm not wearing my GingerHacker shirt today, but gonna send you over the link to our GingerHacker swag shop as a thank you for coming on to steal some time out of your day. Feel free, as always, I tell all my guests to pick out an item you'd like on the house, obviously from us for getting to come onto the channel. And last question, but not least, I like to ask everyone before we sign off is for anyone trying to break into cyber, what's your last piece of advice that you'd like to give somebody?
Stay hungry. Yeah. Stay hungry and put yourself out there.
No, I mean, it's a dog eat dog world. And I think it's that persistence and determination that's going to help folks get that role. So no, fantastic. Well, everybody, this is our third episode into the year. So glad to have Julian on and get to share his insights. And as always, we'll catch you on the next episode.